Welcome back to our journey into the tangled roots of modern history. In our last episode, we unearthed the 19th century ideas that fertilized the soil for fascism. Today, we witness the spark that ignites the inferno. We're in the early 20th century, a time of chaos and disillusionment, where scattered theories are hammered into a weaponized ideology. This isn't just a history lesson. It's a mirror reflecting our own struggles with power, identity, and the seductive promises made in times of crisis. Picture Europe in 1919. The Great War is over, but the continent is a landscape of scars. Empires have crumbled, economies are in freefall, and an entire generation feels betrayed. In Italy, a supposed victor, the mutilated victory becomes a rallying cry. They fought and bled, but the peace treaties denied them promised lands. Inflation is rampant, and returning veterans find themselves jobless and forgotten. Into this void steps a new, potent force. It promises to bind the nation's fractured soul into an unbreakable whole, a fasces, the ancient Roman symbol of bundled rods signifying unity and authority. This is the birth of fascism. It begins not with a roar, but with a whisper. In March 1919, in a small hall in Milan's Piazza San Sepolcro, a man named Benito Mussolini gathers a motley crew of just 119 people. They are war veterans, radical artists, and disillusioned socialists like himself. He calls them the Fasci di Combattimento, the Fighting Leagues. Their initial platform is a bizarre mix. They demand an 8-hour workday and women's suffrage, but also aggressive nationalism. It's a revolutionary movement designed to crush other revolutions. They borrow tactics from the left, like street action, but use them to serve the right. Their black-shirted squads, the squadristi, are funded by wealthy landowners, terrified of a communist takeover. It was pragmatism disguised as ideology, a perfect storm of anger and opportunism. At the center of this storm is Mussolini himself, a master of reinvention. Born a fiery socialist, he once edited the party newspaper, Avanti, and even fled to Switzerland to dodge the draft. He was steeped in the philosophies of Nietzsche and the syndicalist Nietzsche and Sorel, who argued that myths could mobilize the masses. World War I was his turning point. He broke with the socialists, arguing for Italy's entry into the war. Expelled from his party, he founded a new pro-war paper funded by foreign interests who wanted Italy in the fight. His transformation was complete. A training accident that wounded him in 1917 became a heroic war story, the first building block in his carefully constructed cult of personality. By the early 1920s, Italy is paralyzed. The government is weak and the country is rocked by strikes and factory occupations during the Red Biennium. The fascists present themselves as the only force capable of restoring order. Their violence escalates, with thousands dying in street battles against their political rivals. Then comes the masterstroke of political theater. In October 1922, around 30,000 black shirts begin to converge on Rome. It's a bluff. The marchers are poorly armed and could have been easily scattered. But Mussolini isn't with them. He's waiting by a telephone in Milan. King Victor Emmanuel III, fearing a civil war, makes a fateful decision. He refuses to declare martial law and instead invites Mussolini to form a government. Power was handed over, not seized. Fascism had achieved a legal revolution, eroding democracy from within. Once in power, Mussolini moves quickly to consolidate his rule. The promise is stability, a third way between chaotic capitalism and terrifying communism. This is corporatism, a system where labor and capital are forced into state-controlled organizations. Strikes are outlawed. Industrialists, like the head of Fiat, who had once feared unions, now eagerly supported the regime that disciplined their workers for them. It was a facade of harmony, masking brutal exploitation. The regime also pushed a vision of society that glorified traditional roles, launching a demographic campaign to reward large families. It was about creating a new kind of Italian, loyal only to the state. This wasn't a return to the past. It was a radical, modern project dressed in ancient Roman clothing. Fascism's rise sent shockwaves across Europe. The spectacle of the March on Rome inspired imitators everywhere. In Spain, General Primo de Rivera's dictatorship in 1923 borrowed fascist language and aesthetics, and in a Munich beer hall, a little-known extremist named Adolf Hitler tried to replicate Mussolini's march and failed. But in his manifesto, Mein Kampf, Hitler would praise Mussolini, adapting the Italian black shirt model for his own SA stormtroopers. Even in Britain, a small British fascisti party emerged. What this shows is fascism's incredible adaptability. It wasn't a uniquely Italian phenomenon, but a political virus that could mutate to fit different national contexts. Unlike communism, which preached international worker solidarity, fascism was hyper-nationalist. Yet both were masters of propaganda. Italy's Istituto Luce produced newsreels and films glorifying the Duce and his achievements, from draining marshes to building the first modern highways, the autostrada. It was a potent mix. On one hand, there was tangible progress and a restored sense of national pride. On the other, a free press was abolished, dissent was crushed, and a culture of fear took hold. The philosopher of fascism, Giovanni Gentile, argued the state was a spiritual entity absorbing the will of the individual for the good of the collective, a chilling echo of 19th century ideas we explored earlier. So in just a few short years, a fringe movement born from post-war despair became a model for a new kind of authoritarianism. It showed that power could be seized not with a coup, but through spectacle, intimidation, and the legal system itself. It thrived by blending revolutionary energy with reactionary goals, promising a dynamic future while crushing individual liberty. This era teaches us a vital lesson. Authoritarianism isn't an ancient relic. It finds its footing in moments of economic pain and cultural anxiety, offering simple, forceful answers to complex problems. As we'll see next time, the global economic crash of 1929 would pour gasoline on this fire, spreading it across the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey insightful, please like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.